You've asked for it, so let's go through my 3DS collection. Welcome back to 128KB, Andy here, and yeah, you guys asked for it, so I'm going to go through my 3DS physical collection. So you guys enjoyed my Switch games collection. I went through all my games on the Nintendo Switch. If you haven't seen that video, go down there, like and subscribe, and go and check that video out because I go through every game I've got on the Nintendo Switch in detail, so it's a good video. Go check it out. But anyway, if you've just seen our 3DS video, that's me just loving on the 3DS, then you'll see that I mentioned that we'll be doing this next as well. People were asking for it, so I might as well. The funny thing is a lot of these games are actually sealed. And the reason is because I had my 3DS back in the day and I ended up having to sell all my games, which was really sad. And I still haven't got all of them back yet. So what I've been doing for the past, I don't know, while is trying to regain my collection of 3DS games to get back to where we are now. And probably about a year ago, before they announced that there was complete discontinuation of support for the 3DS, I managed to get loads of these games really, really cheap. Whereas right now, a lot of the games are actually quite expensive, and that's why I haven't really expanded my collection that much recently. But anyway, I'm hoping to still buy some more games, but the reason why a lot of these are sealed is because of that reason. But let's just crack on and get through it, shall we? So let's start with the left side. So first up, we have The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time 3D. Now this is such a game. It was basically remade and remastered for the 3DS. And to be perfectly honest, I think this is the definitive edition of Ocarina of Time 3D. It's so good. It runs so well. Everything looks absolutely amazing in this game, especially when you compare it to the actual N64 version. This just looks so much better. And having it portably on the 3DS was so nice. I know it's on the Switch now with the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack service. If you haven't checked out our Switch videos, we have so many, so go down there and check them out. Hit the like and subscribe. But yeah, Ocarina of Time 3D is so good. It is such a good game. I don't think there's anything special inside here. You got basically your manual and your controls, stuff like that. But this is such an amazing game. I actually got this originally when it launched, and I got the pre-order bonus box, which was the gold one. It was so nice. I had it, I can't remember until when, but the thing was I'd sold the game and everything, and like an idiot, I got rid of that box. I can't remember if I sold it or if I just threw it away because I'm an idiot. So it really pains me that I don't have that anymore. But yeah, so Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time 3D, such a good game. Next up is pretty much the same sort of thing, is Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask 3D. Again, having these on the 3DS was it's just so good. I'd never actually played Majora's Mask until I played it on the 3DS. And yeah, what a game. I know it's not people's favorites, but I really like this game. It's a lot darker. It's obviously got a bit of a more gloomy feel. Wow, I've still got... Do you remember these? Just going off track. Do you remember the Club Nintendo? I didn't even scratch this one off. Crazy. But yeah, so Majora's Mask, amazing game. Again, if you haven't played any of these, or if you don't have a 3DS, then maybe I'll do a should you buy video. So stick around because I really love the 3DS. If you'd seen the last video, you'd have known that. Next up is Christina's game. This is not my one. This is Nintendogs Cats. She absolutely loves this kind of stuff. She's all about the pet games and all that. And she really wanted to get this. So, I found it online for her. And she plays it now and again. You got little dogs and stuff. You got little cats and things. I've not actually played it. I'd played the old ones back on the DS, a long time ago. But yeah, that's Christina's stuff. She enjoys it, so I imagine it's good. Next up is another one of Christina's games, and that is Brain Training. So these are really popular, and this was absolutely massively popular back on the original DS as well as the 3DS, but the DS was such a big hype. They sold so many units, and it was pretty much off the backs of targeting loads of different audiences. It wasn't just the hardcore gamer or just the kids or anything like that. They had stuff like this, which was the brain training stuff, which really appealed to like the older generation or to parents at the time, stuff like that. And these are really hard. I mean, this is the Devilish one. It is really hard, but to be fair, like if you did this like daily, I think there's even a daily mode that if you do this like quite often, you will get good at stuff, you know, and you will actually get smarter doing it because it really helps you to learn a lot of these puzzles and questions and stuff like that. It's pretty cool. Next up, we have Detective Pikachu. Now, I've not actually played this. I've seen the movie, and that's what sort of drove me to buy this game. I didn't even know that this existed. I didn't even know it was out, so I missed this entirely. So it's Detective Pikachu. Pikachu can talk, stuff like that. It is just a detective game. Like, I'm big on the whole like detective stuff. I love like LA Noire and games like that. So this is right up my street. I just not actually played it yet. I bought it, you know, probably like a year ago or whatever, just to sort of have it, but I haven't played it yet. I've heard a lot of good things. It looks cool, it looks like something I will enjoy, so I will get around to playing that at some point. Now this is onto a sealed game, which is Pokemon Ultra Moon. And again, I've not played the Ultra Moon, but I have played Moon. So they had Pokemon Moon, and then later they did Ultra Moon, which basically was like the definitive edition. They've added more stuff to this game. There's like extra stuff essentially that should have really been in the first version of the game, but you know, for whatever reason, they just didn't bother, and then they just released a whole new game with it in. So, you know, I've not experienced the new stuff, but it's a Pokemon game. I'm a big Pokemon fan, even though I didn't know about Detective Pikachu. But the old school classic games, I grew up with the Game Boy, stuff like that. You know, I'm a big Pokemon fan with the original stuff. So I do like my Pokemon games now and again. Next up is Captain Toad. Now this is actually on the Switch, and this released at the same time as the Switch version back in 2017. And yeah, I think it was 2017. It could have been 2018 actually. So this one actually got like overlooked because the Switch version obviously, you know, is the one that people wanted to play. Everyone had forgotten about the 3DS once the Switch had come out, right? So they all went for the Switch version, and I thought, you know what? I'm gonna get the 3DS version. It's exactly the same game, and by the time I'd rebought this, it was really, really cheap, like really cheap. So it was a kind of a no-brainer, and it's kind of cool to say, you know, I've got the 3DS version. Most people have the Switch version. There's even a thing in the top there, look, featuring new courses based on Super Mario Odyssey, which obviously is only on the Nintendo Switch. So I actually think this is pretty cool to have. Again, loads of you that are gonna be like, oh my God, it's sealed, keep it sealed, you know, collectors. I'm probably gonna end up opening all these to replay them again. Then there's some later that are actually worth a fair bit of money being sealed. I'm probably gonna open them, just saying. Next up we have Castlevania Mirror of Fate, so Lords of Shadow. There we go. I'm a big Castlevania or Metroidvania fanboy. So I love Metroid, I love Castlevania, the whole Metroidvania sort of like series of games, like the genre I'm a big fan of. And I wanted to get one on 3DS, and this is one of the last ones that came out. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna find this one. This was fairly pricey, even back when I was buying games before the price had rose, because they're normally quite hard to find, and they're normally a little bit more expensive than the normal, because a lot of collectors love the whole Castlevania stuff. So yeah, there we go. Another unused Friends, you know, thing. Club Nintendo, there we go. And that's Castlevania. There we go. Now this one, codename S.T.E.A.M. Now I only actually got these games because there's a band called Steam Powered Giraffe that Christina absolutely loves, and they did the music for some of these games. I can't remember if they did it on this one. I actually think it was on the next game, but this game is kind of like a turn-based game. It's actually really good. It's almost like over your shoulder turn-based. It's really weird to explain, but I actually found it really fun. It's like a steampunk inspired game, obviously codename Steam kind of gives it away, but the art style is awesome. I love the whole steampunk look, like with all the it's almost like going back to like the 1800s or whatever with like steam trains and stuff like that, as if that was the future. So there was like everything's powered by steam rather than electric. There's lots of cogs and stuff everywhere, like goggles and odd clothing. Like it's really cool, and I'm a big fan of this game. It's cool. Now, both Christina and I actually quite like Yokai Watch, the game, but we didn't actually play this one. I've not played this one yet either. This is actually sealed. We started with number 2, but this is almost like a Pokemon-esque game. So this is number 1, and you've got this watch. It's called the Yokai Watch. You know, get it? It's in the title, and you can they're like spirits. So they are spirits, really. So it gives you the abilities to see these spirits. You can sort of like battle them, get them on your side. It's very Pokemon-esque, but it's cool. Like, I actually really quite like it. I know it's like aimed at kids, but the actual gameplay and stuff is really nice. Again, I've not played the first one. I've only played the second ones, which we'll get onto now because I think they're here. Yep. So I'll do both of them at the same time because one of them's Christina and one of them's mine. I think I got the Bony spirits and she got the Fleshy souls. I can probably tell you because it's probably not in there. Yeah, I think I had Bony spirits, and I think, yeah, it's not in there. So that's Christina's. So that's Yokai Watch 2, and again, very, very Pokemon-esque, how they released 2 side by side, do you know what I mean? Like one version and then another with slightly different spirits in there. Very, very heavily influenced by Pokemon there. But I actually really like the art style and stuff of these games. They're very cool. It's really chill, and they're just kind of fun. You know, it's really Japanese, but I like it a lot. So there we go. Next up is, we got 2 copies of this because, again, Christina and I, there's plenty of 2 copies games going around here because Christina and I play them. There's loads of games on the 3DS that are local co-op. So if you had a version each, or even if you just had one version, you could like download play, but it depends on the game. But anyway, Street Fighter. So there we go, Street Fighter 4, I think that is. Yep, Street Fighter 4. This is the 3D edition. Now, this is such a cool game. Again, this was a launch title with the 3DS, and it's Street Fighter. There's not really much else to say about that. I suck at fighting games, I really do, but I do enjoy playing them now and again, as long as I've got someone that's not just, you know, pulverizing me into the ground. So there's that. Let's put these over to the side so you can see me a little bit better. Right, next up we have, 2 copies of Monster Hunter Generations. Again, I got 2 because Christina and I can then play together. These are, if you don't know what Monster Hunter is, it's a big, big thing. They're a little bit difficult to get into if you've never played one, especially the older sort of ones, because there's kind of no storyline. You just kind of get thrown in and you just have to fight bosses. It's pretty much like a boss fighting game. Like, you just go around, you hunt monsters, you get loads of materials back, and then you have to spend your time crafting like armor, weaponry, all that kind of stuff. There's a massive fan base behind it, and there are different games. There's like Monster Hunter Stories, stuff like that, which is a bit more like story based, and then you've got like all the other ones. There's online ones and stuff like that, but this is Monster Hunter Generations, which again I bought purely because of the fact it's co-op. So there we go. Again, both of them are sealed, but I'm sure they'll be opened at some point. So side number 2 is one of my favorite 3DS games, Super Mario 3D Land. I love this. It's so light-hearted. It looks fantastic. It looks absolutely great. I love the 3D. The 3D on the 3DS, if you've not experienced it, if you want to experience it, get a new 3DS, like the one that's called the new 3DS. Check out our other video if you haven't seen it already. The 3D on that is so good. I absolutely love the stereoscopic 3D. It looks fantastic. But yeah, there we go. Super Mario 3D Land, really nice. It's level based and you just kind of progress through the levels. It's kind of old school Mario, but 3D. It's really cool. Like, the levels are great, all the secret items and stuff. It's just a really nice game and it plays excellently. I'm a big fan of 3D Land. So there we go. Next up is, of course, Star Fox 64, but in 3D. Yes, I absolutely love Star Fox. Like, Star Fox is so good. Having it on the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack, the 64 version from the N64, I love it on the Switch. But yeah, I had this previously on the 3DS and I really enjoy this game massively. It's just a classic. It's an absolute classic. But having it on the 3DS was so nice because, again, it was portable. Like, at the time, it was the only way of playing it portably, and yeah, it's 3D as well. They just improved it. It's such a cool game. If you're not a Star Fox fan, this is the one to try out if you've never played Star Fox before. And yeah, Star Fox 64 3D. There we go. Next up is Luigi's Mansion 2. Yes, I love Luigi's Mansion. You're probably seeing that I love a lot of games, and that's why I own them. I try not to buy games I don't like. You know, I don't want just like an endless collection of stuff that I'm never going to play or whatever. I'm like a playing collector. So everything I buy, I want to play eventually, or I've played in the past, but I've just rebought it for nostalgia purpose, so that maybe one day I will replay it, if that makes sense. But Luigi's Mansion 2, such a good game. This 3DS game. Obviously, they've released Luigi's Mansion 3, but that's on the Switch. But Luigi's Mansion 1, they remade for the 3DS, and I don't have that yet because the price is still full price. It's still full price everywhere, even though they stopped doing it like years ago. So annoying. But yeah, the actual GameCube remake of Luigi's Mansion 1 is available on the 3DS, and I do want to get it. I just begrudge paying full price for it. So, you know, we'll see what happens with that. But Luigi's Mansion 2, again, I think this is 2-player. Yeah, local 2 to 4 player. So I might even have 2 copies of this game, or it might be a download play. Yep, there you go, download play. So it is download play. So you only need 1 copy of the game with download play. Then the other person needs a system, so they need their own 3DS, but then they can just download the game essentially for nothing as long as they're playing with you. So yeah, Luigi's Mansion, really, really cool. I'm a big fan of Luigi's Mansion, mainly because I played it back on the GameCube. Now I've not played this one yet. This is Batman Arkham Origins. Oh wow, Andy, come on, talk. Batman Arkham Origins Blackgate. So this is a Batman game. This came out on loads of different consoles. It's on the Vita and stuff like that as well. But I'm a bit of a Batman fan. I do like Batman. And I was like, you know what? I never played this. It was a good deal. It was sealed. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to buy this. And yeah, so I don't really have much to say on that because I haven't actually played this one before. But I'm sure it will run better on other systems. But I just like the fact it was on 3DS. So I bought that one. Next up is Hey Pikmin. Yeah, I'm not like the biggest Pikmin fan. I like it. I like it. Let's just say that. I like Pikmin. I don't like absolutely love it. I haven't played a Pikmin game in a long time, but back on the GameCube and stuff, everyone loved it. I was a fan, but I'm just not like a die-hard fan. And again, I haven't even played Hey Pikmin on the 3DS, but I bought it because I was like, you know what? I want to play it at some point. I want to. So that's Hey Pikmin. That's on my list. Now this is one of my all-time favorite series ever. I love Metroid. Metroid is so good. Metroid Dread is obviously out on the Switch. If you haven't seen our videos, we've been playing through the entire game live, which you can still watch back on the channel as well. So make sure you go down there and hit the like and subscribe button. But we've got so many videos. I've got an unboxing video as well of Metroid Dread, the collector's edition, where I go through everything, the art book, all of it. So check those out. But this is actually really hard to get hold of. This is Metroid Samus Returns. This is a remake of the Game Boy game, The Return of Samus. So this is Metroid 2. And this is the remake for the 3DS. Now this only sold about 500,000 copies worldwide. That's not very many. So this is really sought after. And you might have seen, it's sealed. You know, it's actually sealed. So this is a fresh copy of Samus Returns. And yeah, I am going to open it. I know collectors out there are like, no, save it. But no, I am going to open this, because I'm going to play it. So there we go. That's Metroid Samus Returns. Now we got another Metroid game, which is everyone's least favorite Metroid game ever, Federation Force. But again, this is sealed. The only reason I bought this was because it's 2-player co-op. And I thought, you know what? This is pretty cool because it's still like it's almost like Metroid Prime. Is it called that? Yeah, it's actually called Metroid Prime Federation Force. So it's like the GameCube game where it's a first-person shooter, but on this one you pretty much just go around and you hunt stuff. So I thought, you know what, playing it 2-player, me and Christina can play this together, even though she's not the biggest fan of like the first-person like Metroid games, even though I love them. I was like, you know what, I'm going to buy these so that we can play them together. Next up is 2 copies of WarioWare GOLD. love WarioWare Gold. WarioWare Gold is so good. WarioWare in general is amazing. And WarioWare Get It Together has just come out on Switch. Christina did a review of it here on the channel, so go check that out if you've not seen it already. But WarioWare is just a collection of mini games and, well, 300 micro games included. There you go. And it's just so fun, and you can play them together, but they're just so good. They're so stupid. It's like the most light-hearted, silly game ever, but it's actually quite difficult once you get like far into it. They're so good. I can't recommend enough WarioWare, especially if you like, you know, just family fun, just a bit of fun. Next up is another 2 game, which is Donkey Kong Country Returns 3D. Again, 2-player, it's Donkey Kong. Like, it's a 2D side-scroller, like, well, it's not 2D, it's 3D, but, you know, 2.5D side-scrolling platformer where you're Diddy Kong and Donkey Kong, and it's 2-player if you've got 2 copies of the game. This isn't a download play though, you do need 2 copies of the game, but me and Christina really like playing co-op, and again, the 3DS was so good for co-op because there's so many games there. Next up is Resident Evil Revelations. There we go, number 1. This was originally and only released on the 3DS. So this was a 3DS exclusive, which is Resident Evil Revelations. And I bought this at launch, played through the entire game like back in the day, loved it. I love Revelations. I'm actually replaying it now. I'm like 80% through, but it's been a little while since I played. But such a good game. This only came out on 3DS, and then later they thought, you know what, this is actually really good. They then brought it to like PlayStation, Xbox, all that kind of stuff. It's on the Switch as well. If you haven't played this game, definitely check it out on the Switch. Resident Evil Revelations, very, very cool. Number 2 is on Switch as well, and that's excellent. But yeah, me and Christina bought these because they're not actually like, well, it says co-op 2-player, so local co-op 2-player. The sad thing is the game isn't co-op. It's like a subsection of the game, which is basically like just defeating hordes of enemies and that kind of thing. It's not quite the same. A little bit sad. It would have been nice for the story to be co-op, but whatever. Now we're on to the new 3DS exclusives. So as you can see, this is, hang on, let's put that one away. This is Fire Emblem, and it says only for the new Nintendo 3DS. Now again, if you've seen the previous video I did about the 3DS, then you'll know the difference between the normal 3DS and the new 3DS, because I go through it in detail in that video. But basically this would only work if you've got a new 3DS, because it had a better processor essentially. So this was locked to that game, to that system. And I'm pretty sure this same game came out on the Switch. Pretty sure they redid it for the Switch. Or it could have even came out at the same time. I can't remember. Correct me down in the comments. But yeah, this is just for the new 3DS. And I thought, you know what? I want to get it just because it's for that. And they're pretty hard to get, to be fair. So there we go. Next up, I love these games, is Xenoblade Chronicles 3D. I'm a big fan of the Xenoblade Chronicles like games. They are just JRPGs, you know. It's a little bit Final Fantasy-esque, if that makes sense. So big open sprawling worlds, like big baddies, stuff like that. Like you control teams. It's not turn-based though, but it kind of is at the same time. It's not turn-based, but you have to like still tell other characters like when to do their special moves and that kind of thing. But really, really, really good game. This actually came out on another system. The only thing is I don't remember when it came out. I think it was the Wii, but I'm not entirely sure. But then they brought it out on the 3DS, I think. But they have re-released this as the Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition on the Switch. And I would say that is the definitive edition. Go play it on the Switch if you've got it. But this still runs really nicely on the new Nintendo 3DS. But yeah, it was only for that one. Very cool game. Big fan of Shulk and the team. And there we have it. That's all my physical games. I do have some digital games though. And so does Christina. So we both have Mario Kart. We've got Mario Kart there. We also have Animal Crossing's, not New Horizons, New Leaf, I think it's called, Animal Crossing New Leaf on the 3DS as well. And there's probably a couple of like retro games from the Virtual Console store, like because there's the NES, the SNES and all that kind of stuff on the Virtual Console on the 3DS that you can then like download. So I do have a bunch of old school games there as well. But in terms of physical games, that has been all my physical games. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Make sure to go down there, hit that like and subscribe, and check out our other videos. And if you want to see more videos like this, let us know. How many games do you have on the 3DS? Is there any that I've got that you've got as well, or any that you didn't know about? I'd love to hear your thoughts, so go down there and let me know. Anyway, I'll see you in the next video. Make sure to check out 128kb.co.uk. I'm Andy, this is 128kb. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.